What's up, everybody? It's Alex Leak and Friends NFL podcast. Back for another week. I'm your host, Alex Leak. We got Dustin on the show. As always, what's up, Dustin?
Hey, what's up, man?
Good to have you on. This is the Week 9 2022 NFL season, Week 9 recap. Great action, and so much to talk about, so much fun going on in the NFL. And we're getting to the midway point and really starting to see the good teams, the great teams take a step forward and separate themselves, and a lot of teams in the middle of the pack as well.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, did you just say week 9? Holy cow.
Yeah,
Man,
week 9 recap. The season's flying by.
that's insane, man. I love football. I don't want it to have to be almost over already, but
Absolutely. But this is honestly still my favorite time of the year, though, because this is when you start to see the teams separate from each other. You got your bad teams and you got your great teams, and then you got, your contenders. But then you got a lot of teams that are in the middle and trying to figure themselves out.
yeah, absolutely. And man, this season's weird. I'll tell you, like, if you look at the record on some of these teams who should just be, having great records and all that kind of stuff, they've been down. And this year in the NFL has been kind of weird, bro.
To me, it makes sense though. I mean, I know it's shocking to some, but it's always hard to win in the NFL, and teams are always adjusting and trying to get better. And so there's pressure on teams like the Rams and the Bucks and the Packers because the other teams are always trying to catch them.
Yeah, and I mean, this just may be me, but I enjoy the fact that it's not this year has not been a very big offensive display.
No, I've loved it. It's been defense and running game, it seems. We're throwing it back old school, and you're seeing teams that can run the ball at will winning a lot of these games. I mean, we saw it with the Jets this weekend. The Bears with the running game on a Justin Fields. The Eagles are using a lot of the running game attack.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun. Let's get this started. So week 9, Thursday night football, the 7-0 Eagles at the 1-5-1 Texans. We were lucky to have so many good, real competitive Thursday night games to start the season. This was the first one where we thought it was going to be a blowout, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. But you know what, man? Hats off to Houston. They played pretty tough.
Yeah, and the Eagles are undefeated, so they're definitely going to be the favorite. They're definitely going to be tough to beat. In Houston, did you like the Texans with the red helmets and the red jerseys?
You know what? I actually did. I thought that was a pretty awesome combination.
I know Josh didn't like it. He said the helmets were a different shade than the jerseys, but he's just nitpicking. I thought they looked pretty cool.
Yeah, yep, I did.
Um, and the Texans actually kept this thing close. It was tied 14 all at halftime. I like to pick upsets. Even I wasn't picking the Eagles to win this, but it was a good game, surprisingly. And the Eagles end up pulling away in the second half, winning 29-17. Surprisingly, bro, what do you think of this stat? This is the first time in franchise history that the Eagles are out to an 8-0 start. I would have, with their rich franchise history, I would have thought they've done this before.
Yeah, and I was completely wrong because in the preseason, I thought that this team wasn't going to be as good as what they are.
Well, I think we both picked the Cowboys to win the division, but Philly to be getting better and AJ Brown to be a big addition. Eagles look like they're trying to run away with this division, at this point.
Yeah, you say a big addition. Let me tell you, that's a massive addition. Okay, that
Yeah, it's a massive addition and what it does for Jalen Hurts. I mean, he's having an MVP type season. 250 plus yards in this game, two touchdowns. Miles Sanders, 93 yards and a touchdown. Dallas Goedert, 100 yards and a touchdown. They're spreading the ball around all over the field. And so it's not just A.J. Brown, it's Miles Sanders, Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith, all these different options they can attack you with, along with Jalen Hurts.
oh yeah, that offense is pretty loaded, and I didn't see it coming from this Eagles team until a couple weeks into the season. I seen the production of what adding AJ Brown has done for them.
Yeah, he's damn near, unstoppable. You can put three guys on him, similar to how you used to be able to do with Calvin Johnson and these guys and even DeAndre Hopkins. These special receivers, you can put three guys on them, they're still gonna find a way to make the catch, right?
Yeah, he has six regular season touchdowns, two games of over 150, and two games or 3 games to almost 800 yards. So he's had a big season.
Yeah. And they're using him also as a decoy, also in the run game, handing it to him or having AJ Brown pass block. And he's a hell of a locker room leader, and wide receiver room leader. And
Yeah,
it, and the nice thing is what it does is it moves Devontae Smith to wide receiver too. And I feel like that's his natural position, much like how Darnell Mooney is a wide receiver too, right?
yep, absolutely.
Um, Eagles defensive tackle Javon Hargrave gets 3 sacks in this game, six on the season, and his career high is 7.5. So he's looking to pass that, having a big year for Javon Hargrave.
Yeah, yep. He's having a pretty big year. So, my question is, I've been thinking about this. Are we ready to put Jalen Hurts as the franchise quarterback, or does he have to do more?
I think so. I think he's proven it this year. And the biggest thing is they're contenders. You feel like right now, if you're an Eagles fan, that you have just as legit a chance to win the whole thing this year as anybody, don't you?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, so um that's where I, see it with Jalen Hurts and the big test is ultimately going to come in January in the playoffs. And you can be a great regular season team, but we've seen great, long time undefeated teams in the regular season flame out quick in the playoffs, go one and done or lose before, even the conference championship. And we don't want to see that out of this Eagles team. We want to see them go, potentially all the way to the Super Bowl.
Yep, for sure.
But and the NFC is wide open, so it's going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds. Um, Texans quarterback Davis Mills, 150 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That's the one thing he can't do is turn the ball over. They did a good job hanging in this game, but you have 2 turnovers from the quarterback, you're going to lose against the Eagles. Um, Rookie running back Damian Pierce goes for 139 yards. Man, I really like Damian Pierce and especially his run style. He seems to want to knock everyone over and finish his run strong.
Yeah, he's gonna be good. I think that was a good, pickup for Houston. So, they needed to find their eventual Arian Foster again, and they might have him.
Absolutely, a hell of a pick. Was he fourth round pick? Whoever signed off on that pick or scouted Damian Pierce, kudos to that guy. Fourth round pick out of Florida. I mean, he shouldn't have fallen as far as he did. Everyone watches Florida football. Pierce is a stud. Always has been, right?
Yeah, and I mean, he came from a conference where they breed, running backs and big time. Just basically to me, the SEC is like just basically practicing to go straight to the NFL.
Yeah. So, it's a smooth transition for him with Houston. They're not winning a lot of ball games, but they're in a lot of them and they're competitive. And that's what we like to see from a Lovey Smith coach team, hard fought. Defensive end Jerry Hughes records 2 sacks, 7 on the season. Nice to see Jerry Hughes still doing his thing,
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. And that's another thing about this season is we're seeing a lot of older fellas out there balling.
still doing their thing. Yes, it's great to see. So coming up in week 10, it's going to be the 1-6-1 Texans. That's a terrible record. They're still in the midst of a complete rebuild in Houston. Brandon Cooks is going to be gone soon. They're going to be and we'll see if Davis Mills is the answer at quarterback or not. Their next game, it doesn't get any easier as they go to MetLife Stadium to take on the 6-2 Giants. I think we both got the Giants winning this one. Giants need to bounce back, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Giants, but hear me out, Texans fans. In my opinion, stick with Davis Mills. I actually kind of like this guy.
Well, are you gonna go? Are you gonna, convince people to stick with Davis Mills if Bryce Young falls in their lap?
Oh, that's that's a good question, but you know, I think like it's
at
just
least,
taking.
at least for now, stick with Davis Mills, right?
Yeah, I mean, let Bryce Young develop if he falls right into your lap. I just feel like in the league now, a lot of these quarterbacks it's taken 2, 3 years, sometimes four, for them to actually show what they can do.
Absolutely, that's a good point. So, and Davis Mills, whether he's a Texan or not, he's shown that he's at least backup quality, and can fill in if needed and keep you competitive in games, right?
Yes, for sure.
The 4-5 Commanders at the 8-0 Eagles. I mean, I think we fully anticipate the Eagles getting a 9-0. Any chance Taylor Henneke can go into Philly and shock the Eagles?
Ooh, it's at Philly, huh?
Yeah, that's the thing about the
Oh,
playoffs. If the Eagles get the number one seed, nobody wants to go into Philly in January, bro, let alone November.
well, I mean, there's only one man that I would trust that wouldn't have no fear going in there, and that would be Tom Brady. But
Absolutely. I noticed you left Aaron Rodgers out of that one.
because at this point, I don't even think the Packers are going to make the playoffs, bro. They are bad.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in a few. So you got the Eagles winning over Washington?
I do, but I'm gonna say just barely. I'm gonna say a 7-9 ball game, just because I like Taylor Henneke still.
Yeah, we'll see how the Commanders do. It surprised me that Washington lost this last week, but we'll get into that here in a few as well. Chargers at Falcons on Sunday. I actually picked Atlanta to win this game. The Chargers have been really underwhelming to me thus far throughout the season, and the Falcons jump out, and the Falcons have been overachieving as well. So that was kind of my thinking in Atlanta. You never know with these Falcons, and they came close. They jump out to a 10-0 first quarter lead, but the Chargers rally to win 20-17. How about this, Dustin? Undrafted rookie kicker Cameron Dicker kicks the game-winning 37-yard field goal as time expires to give the Chargers the win in Atlanta. How about Cameron Dicker coming through as the hero?
Yeah, that's pretty good, man. I like when undrafted players, show up and become the hero. He was
Yeah,
he actually was a pretty good kicker at Texas, so it surprises me that he was undrafted.
me too. I was just gonna say, like, he was pretty good at Texas, so nice to see him, be the hero in this game and get the game-winning kick. The surprising thing about this, bro, I don't know if you saw this, but Um, they were in field goal range before this, and Austin Eckler fumbles the ball in the final seconds. Final 30 seconds of regulation. Austin Eckler fumbles the ball. It's recovered by Falcons defensive end Taquan Graham, who returns it to midfield, and then no one punches the ball out. Taquan Graham just simply fumbles the ball out of his own hands, and the Chargers recover and Herbert's with one throw able to get him back into field goal range for the game winner. But if Taquan Graham doesn't drop the ball, Atlanta, it's at least going to overtime. If not, the Falcons have a chance to win it.
Yeah, man, that was some weird sequence of football, but you just gotta love seeing stuff like that because nothing is a guarantee in this league.
No, I mean, that's what was so crazy about that sequence is, no one expected Austin Eckler, of all people, to fumble the ball there either.
Yeah, for sure, because he's usually pretty good with ball security.
Speaking of ball security, did you see what Khalil Mack did to Drake London?
I was not able to see that. I watched the highlights and stuff, but what did he do?
So in the early third quarter, the Falcons are driving, about to score a touchdown and take the lead back. And rookie Drake London catches the ball at the 5 yard line, looking to score a touchdown. And Khalil Mack, who had dropped back into coverage, rips the ball out of Drake London's hands. Just it wasn't the ball never hits the ground. He just reaches in, steals the ball, and runs back to midfield. An amazing play by Khalil Mack. He's just a monster, bro.
Yeah, yeah, he definitely is, and that's why I'm disappointed in the Chargers for being so underwhelming because they have the talent from top to bottom.
They do. You know who I'm gonna blame? That's head coach Brandon Staley. And I mean, they're in a tough division, and it doesn't help though when you're losing winnable games. And the Chargers have definitely done that to this point. Didn't they just lose the Seahawks last week? Or no, who'd they lose to? They did lose the Seahawks this year, though. I'm pretty sure.
Yep, that was.
And that's not a shot at Seattle, but they're just losing games that they easily could have lost this one to Atlanta. Um, and they got another tough game coming up in Week 10. It's going to be the 5-3 Chargers at the 4-4 49ers on prime time Sunday Night Football. Big game.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I got
Oh
the Niners. How about you in San Francisco?
oh yeah. I got the Niners, man. Their record does not reflect how good they really are.
I agree 100%.
You
For
know,
the Go ahead, yeah.
I know there's a saying that your record is what you are, but in this circumstance, I have to disagree because they show up and they look damn good, and then they have a week where they're like, what happened to the talent? Like against KC,
Yeah.
you
Well, and
replay.
that game got away from them. They were actually leading that game, for a good amount of time until it got away in the second half.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
By the
but I
way,
mean, go ahead.
I just want to say kudos to Marcus Mariota, man. He's to me almost uh revived his career there.
Yeah, he could get comeback player of the year. I mean, he's been absolutely balling. Him and Geno Smith are battling for who's having the better. Never saw it coming season.
Yep, for sure.
And he's got the Falcons at 4-5. Easily could have been 5-4. Easily could be 6-3. But they're 4-5, tied with the Bucks for the division lead. But Tampa has the head-to-head. They go to Carolina to take on the 2-7 Panthers on Thursday night, tomorrow night. Um, man, I see this as a very important game for Atlanta. The Panthers are clearly rebuilding. We'll see if Baker Mayfield gets the start on Thursday night, but the Falcons need this to keep the pressure on Tampa Bay and try to win this division. This division's so bad, I doubt they're getting any wild card teams.
Yeah, that's man. I am very surprised about how bad at least one of them teams are in that division.
Well, I mean, the Panthers, we expected them to be a lot better. The Falcons are overachieving, to be honest, and we expected the Saints to be a lot better. It'd probably help if they started Jameis Winston instead of Old Man Dalton.
Yeah, which I don't understand that decision, but okay.
Yeah, I don't know. But you got the who you got on Thursday night? Falcons at Panthers.
Uh, I'm gonna go with the Falcons.
Okay. I am leaning Falcons. It wouldn't surprise me though if Carolina beat them. Those divisional matchups. Throw the records out. Panthers are rebuilding, but they're not rebuilding when Atlanta comes into town.
Yeah, for sure.
But
And last time Atlanta wins that game, if it wasn't for a great catch from Moore.
yeah, yep. Um, let's see here. Well, Atlanta actually does win that game
Oh, okay, okay, yeah, yeah. Sorry,
in
but
overtime,
I
so
mean,
they're going for the sweep. Yeah. Um, let's go Dolphins at Bears. 5-3 Dolphins at the 3-5 Bears. Dolphins win actually a hard fought game, 35-32 in Soldier Field. But honestly, to me, I know I'm a Bears fan. To me, the storyline coming out of this is Justin Fields' coming out game, and I put A Star Is Born. I mean, do you see it the same way?
Absolutely. And for I I've seen some of the comments that people been hating on Justin Fields. First of all, what Justin Fields is doing for what he has is pretty damn good.
Yeah, that's the most impressive part.
If you don't see that this man has everything it takes to be a quarterback, then you don't watch enough football. I just had to say that. Sorry.
Well, I mean, plus me and you watched him. If you watched Justin Fields at Ohio State, you knew all the way back then he had the talent to be as good as he wants, right?
I mean, yeah, just his arm. He has a cannon.
Well, the cannon on top of he's got a great arm, but it's the legs to go with it. And he showed off his legs in this game. I mean, anytime you break a Michael Vick rushing record, you've done something special. And it's the single game rushing record by a quarterback, 178 yards for Justin Fields. He was unstoppable. I mean, no one in the NFL looked unstoppable like that, and if they don't have that talent, that ability, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great point. We see it with. I mean, Michael Vick was great back in the day. You know.
Oh my God. I mean, Michael Vick is the best my eyes have ever seen as far as athletic ability. I'm just gonna say that straight up right now.
Ooh, even better than Lamar Jackson.
Yes.
Okay.
Because of the era he was playing in, where they could literally the defenders could take your head off. They could spear you, they could destroy Michael Vick if they caught him. So that's to me what it was the difference is the risk factor. Every time Vick took off to run, you knew guys like Ray Lewis and Derek Brooks and Julius Peppers and Urlacher were trying to take his head off, literally. And Vick was so fast. He was legit the fastest guy on the field.
Yeah, I agree, man. And it was pretty awesome watching him play.
Yeah, as a kid, it was like, oh my God. But Lamar's great too. Lamar's right there with them. Lamar's the closest thing we've ever seen to Vic, and that's very high praise, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean Justin Fields could be also here very soon.
Yeah, I mean, Fields, I don't think has the straight up speed of a Vic or a Lamar, but he's got that tackle breaking ability, and he's pretty fast, you know. And you see what guys like Jalen Hurts and Tua and Kyler Murray and these guys can do in the NFL. It's like, why can't Fields do that same shit?
Yeah, and plus Fields, I think if you look at him, he has just a little bit bigger body too. I think.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And hopefully that, keeps him healthy long term. He goes for 300 plus yards and 4 touchdowns, no turnovers. But Tua matches him with 300 plus yards, 3 touchdowns, no turnovers. Big games from Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Cole Kmet finally has a 2 touchdown game. We finally, had a decent Cole Kmet game. How about Chase Claypool? Should have gotten a pass interference call late in the game, but how did you think Chase Claypool looked in that Bears jersey, rocking the number 10, and how do you think he looked as a Bear with Justin Fields?
Yeah, I thought he looked pretty good. The Bears got their wide receiver one, obviously.
Yeah, and Claypool, and that's all you needed was one move to go get a legit wide receiver one. Like Claypool's not the best receiver in the NFL, but he's still an upgrade over what we got, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So big get. I do like that move at the trade deadline to go get a wide receiver to acknowledge that you have flaws at that position and to go get an upgrade, Kudos. Um, did you see though, 4th and 10 with the game on the line, Justin Fields hits this receiver in the hands. You're only down 3 points. You make this catch, you keep the team alive. Maybe the Bears at least force overtime or maybe even win the game. Did you see this big drop on 4th and 10?
Yeah, that you just can't drop the ball like that.
And who was that on the drop?
Oh, I just seen it yesterday.
Yep. Number 19. Who's that?
Pettis.
Nope, close. He's 18.
Okay.
Equineme St. Brown.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Yep.
And you've heard me bitching about Equinemius all off season, all summer, all season, right? How he's a wide receiver 4 or a wide receiver 5 on everyone else's roster.
Yeah. I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, because he obviously played for Notre Dame, and I want to see Notre Dame guys be successful, but
Yeah.
you know,
You let me put it this way. You shouldn't be throwing must have throws with 4th and 10 with the game on the line. You shouldn't be throwing those to Equinemius. You know what I mean?
oh
That's
no,
part of the issue with the Bears roster is that Fields is forced to throw to guys like this instead of having a legit wide receiver 3. The Rams had both Allen Robinson and Cooper Kupp. I mean, I would trust any of those guys to make that catch over Equinemius.
well, at that point, you they should have dialed up a play to give it to Claypool or Mooney.
Yeah,
One of
yeah,
those.
yep. And we need to stop throwing the ball to Equinemius on those kind of plays. If he's open, he's open, but you just can't trust him to make those plays. Amon Ra is the better St. Brown, and Equinemius is a 4 or 5 on most, receiving rooms. But I mean, I don't have anything against Notre Dame receivers. Chase Claypool is obviously the better of the two, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, um, big game on Sunday, bro. I get excited every time this matchup comes up. I don't give a shit about the records. The 2-6 Lions at the 3-6 Bears. Man, we better get this dub. I don't want to hear any excuses. It's time to beat Detroit.
Oh, okay. Are you ready for my prediction?
Yes, I am.
Lions.
All right. I mean, bro, if we were putting money on this, I would feel bad. But since we aren't, keep taking these L's, Dustin. I feel bad for you. You're gonna go out picking the Lions.
I mean, they just the way that they played the Packers was pretty impressive to me.
I think problem is I don't think you picked the Lions to win last week, did you? I think you picked the Packers to finally get it figured out.
Yeah, and they forced Rodgers to do something he hardly ever does in the season, and that's throw 3 interceptions.
Yeah, 2 of them in the red zone, and we're gonna talk about that here soon. But so I picked the Lions to win that. That's because Green Bay is bad, and it was just one of those games where they caught the Packers, not ready. The Bears are playing better football. They're going to win on Sunday in Chicago against the Lions. That's a Bears win to get to 4-6. The Lions are a bad team, and they're going to have a bad record this year. I don't see them winning more than 5 games, to be honest.
Oh,
Do you
I
agree, or am I wrong?
I think they get 6.
Nah. Bears get 6. Lions get 5.
5 is still an improvement though for Detroit.
That's fine, but five's not good anywhere else in the league. um, 3-5 Browns at the 6-3 Dolphins. Big win for Cleveland against the Bengals on Monday night, but the Dolphins should be able to get their 4th win in a row on Sunday, right?
Yeah. So speaking of the Dolphins, man, the NFL needs to watch out. This team is very good, and they're going to be coming. They're going to surprise people.
Bold prediction time. Have the Dolphins and Jets played each other yet?
I believe they have.
We're gonna have to look that up. Look that up on your phone real quick.
Yep.
I so I've been telling you this whole time that I'm sleeping on the Dolphins. Honestly, tell me if you agree. The Dolphins should have beat the Bears easier than this. They should have beat the Bears by more than 3, shouldn't they?
Yeah, for
I
sure.
mean,
But
isn't the Dolphins defense the last couple of years under Brian Flores was the strength of that team. and a lot of that talent's still there, including Melvin Ingram.
But you
Yet
know,
they allowed Justin Fields to break the NFL record for rushing yards in that game and put up 32.
look, the Bears aren't terrible, terrible because I mean they absolutely dismantled a pretty decent New England team in Foxborough.
Yeah, but then the Cowboys kicked our ass all up and down the field.
Well, the Cowboys are a little bit a level above Miami, but I'm just talking about out of the AFC. But
Oh, you
anyway,
think Cowboys are better than Miami?
yeah.
I agree with you. All right, I like that take.
So the Jets and Miami did play on October 9th, and it was 40-17 New York.
New York.
Yeah.
So, and that was without Tua.
Yep, that was without Tua.
So, I mean, a bold statement. I think the Jets might finish higher in that division than the Dolphins.
Oh.
I mean that division. Speaking of which, that division is wide ass open. The Bills just took a loss. The Jets are looking better than people think. Here come the Dolphins, and the Patriots are right there. I mean, this division could go a lot of different ways.
It can, and especially with the news that came out this week, I'm worried about the Bills.
Yeah, I mean it's a big game on Sunday. Otherwise, they lose two in a row, and we'll get to that. So let's go. Let's get back on track here with Panthers at Bengals. Um, the Bengals jump out to a 35 nothing halftime lead, hang on to win 42-21. Panthers Panthers have been starting PJ Walker. They bench him at halftime and put in Baker Mayfield, and after getting shut out in the first half, he puts up 21 in the second half. Dustin, in your opinion, have they been making a mistake? Should Baker Mayfield have been starting this whole time?
Well, I mean, that's why you go out and trade for him, right?
Who?
Baker,
Baker?
yeah.
Yeah.
You go out and trade for Baker with the intent of him supposed to be your starting quarterback.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't think that he played poor enough to get benched. Did you?
No, and I think Matt Rule was kind of holding him back too.
You notice? Take a notice of this. So you see how both Baker and Matt Ryan got benched, and subsequently, soon after, both head coaches got fired.
Yeah, yep. I didn't even think about that at the moment, but you bring up a good point.
So, and something to keep an eye on. Whenever you see an unexpected quarterback benching like Matt Ryan, like Baker Mayfield, that's a head coach fighting for his job. Remember how much quarterback turmoil there was in Chicago, Matt Nagy's last couple years
Yep.
with Foles and Trubisky and Dalton and Fields. So, you know, that leads to head coaches getting fired. I think the Panthers should start Baker Mayfield going forward. You know, why not? He's the better quarterback. PJ Walker, I think we agree. He's a very solid backup. He's just not a starting quarterback. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, he's the type of Teddy Bridgewater guy who can come in and win you a game if you need it.
Yep, absolutely. Um, so I mean, yeah, PJ Walker, 0 touchdowns, 2 picks. Baker comes in, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. So that's a big difference there. But it wasn't garbage time. You know, the Bengals playing with a big lead. Um, Joe Mixon, how about that? Joe Mixon combines for 211 yards and 5 touchdowns, four of them rushing. That puts him, in great company as far as only players to go for 5 touchdowns. How about Joe Mixon? He's an absolute star. Right up there with the best running backs in the game. Don't you agree?
Oh yeah. And he's always been underrated. You know,
Yeah. I remember when we were calling him a poor man's Le'Veon Bell. And I think Le'Veon Bell was really damn good. So I think he's on the same level as prime Le'Veon.
absolutely.
Um, so Bengals go into their bye week at 5-4. How do you see this Bengals team right now, Dustin? Jamar Chase is going to be coming back soon from injury, hopefully. Um, They're in a tough division. I mean, I guess it's really the Ravens and the Bengals fighting for that division. How do you see the AFC North finishing out the season?
The Ravens are have gotten really better in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, adding Roquan Smith will do that.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna have to change my pick after all. I know it's week 9, and I was telling myself I wanted to stick with it, but I think the Ravens are gonna win that division.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what they can do. Again, the ultimate test for the Ravens is the playoffs. And if Lamar Jackson wants that fully guaranteed contract, you know how you get that? By leading the Ravens into the Super Bowl. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, but you got to give it to him anyway because there's no other guy that you can go out there and get that's gonna consistently win you ball games.
Absolutely, but how he does in the playoffs is going to factor in to how much of it is guaranteed, how much it is worth. And you go one and out, you lose your first playoff game, they're not going to want to pay you as much. You get a couple big playoff wins, then they're willing to pay more, right?
Yep. Speaking of what you said earlier about Mixon, he is in pretty good company with guys like Clint Portis and Jonathan Taylor, Aaron Jones, Derrick Henry, Marshawn Lynch,
Yep,
Danian Tomlinson. So that's a pretty good group to be a part of.
absolutely. So big game from him. We always knew Joe Mixon had that type of potential. Great to see him actually doing it on Sunday.
Yeah.
So this is the big game of the weekend. I mean, the records don't indicate it, but for us here in this area, all eyes were on this matchup. The 3-5 Packers at the 1-6 Lions. I predicted, when we had Pablo on, that the Lions were going to get this win. If you're a Packer fan, you kind of laugh at that and say, "Yeah, right. We're not going to lose to Detroit. We're going to turn our season around. We're not that bad." And they just couldn't get it done. Aaron Rodgers uncharacteristically throws 3 interceptions, 2 of them in the red zone, and we all know how rare of that is for Rodgers to have any turnovers in the red zone. Lions led 8-0 at halftime and win 15-9, bro. What's wrong with the Packers? They only put up 9 points on a really bad Lions defense. Rookie safety Kirby Joseph, best game of his career, 2 picks, a touchdown saving PBU, third round pick out of Illinois. He's a future star in my opinion. Aiden Hutchinson, first career interception. But yeah, statistically the Lions defense isn't that good.
Yeah, that I mean, statistics truly show, how good or bad you really are, but to me, they have the talent and shouldn't be ranked 30th, but
Yeah. I mean, they're also rebuilding. There's not a lot of talent. The talent they do have is young and developing. I like Kirby Joseph, Aiden Hutchinson, Jeff Okuda's all right, but I mean, they still got a lot of room to get better. They're building through the trenches. But what about Green Bay, man? Only 9 points and did not look good. Aaron Rodgers was so mad. Do you see him? You know, screaming and cussing out people. Aaron Rodgers was not happy on Sunday.
yeah, I did. And it's just going to be a matter of time before he gets really fed up with the season.
I mean, what can the Packers do? I mean, in my opinion, their last chance, their last saving grace is to go get someone like Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah, you're going to have to because, Lazard can't do it by himself. And that's what Rodgers is kind of expecting, because it seems like almost every target he's targeting Lazard, and teams know that.
Yeah, he leads the team with 4 catches for 87 yards and a touchdown. It doesn't get any better when Romeo Dobbs suffers a high ankle sprain. He's out 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, that right there is an even bigger blow.
Yeah. Randall Cobb's already hurt. Now you're losing Dobbs. Where's Christian Watson in all this?
He just to me hasn't been showing up.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about him as a first round pick, early in the draft. So, um, And then on top of that, more salt in the wound, linebacker Rashawn Gary suffers a torn ACL out for the season.
Yeah, that's tough.
So things are not getting any better for Green Bay. Did you see that interception by Aiden Hutchinson?
I did.
That was a nice play by Aiden, but what the hell kind of a play call is that? Aaron Rodgers throwing off his back foot to David Bakhtiari of all people.
Yeah. It's weird to throw to an offensive lineman like that, but I mean, I've seen it happen. But
It
you
looked
know,
like it was the play call, but I mean, I don't know. Interesting play call. Interesting decision to throw that. Impressive play by Hutchinson, though.
oh yeah, for sure.
Um, so I mean, the Packers do make a move. How surprised were you that Raiders cut safety Jonathan Abram this week?
Yeah, I'm surprised about that.
He's one of my favorites. He kind of reminds me of Jamal Adams. You know, he's a safety slash linebacker, hard hitting, run stopper, can rush the quarterback. That's the type of player he is. I think he was not being used the right way in Vegas. And the Packers have actually claimed him today, and now they're going to have Jonathan Abrams. So a nice ad there for Green Bay.
Yeah, it's a nice ad, but they got to go add people who they really need.
Yeah, on offense, right? That's where they need it the
Yeah,
most. Yeah. So where do you think this season goes for Green Bay? Sitting at 3-6 with the 6-2 Cowboys coming into Lambeau. I mean, a pretty good chance the Packers might be 3-7, don't you think?
yeah. I'm gonna have to go with the Cowboys.
Yeah. And what does that mean for Green Bay this season?
Well, that means no playoffs.
And is Aaron Rodgers going to come back, you think?
I mean, I don't think he's gonna retire, but he signed well a 3 year deal, so he almost has to, right?
Well, he can still demand a trade. He can still say, look, we can't even make the playoffs. I want out of here, you know?
And there's a big, beautiful throne just waiting for him in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Um, you know what? Bold prediction. Give me the Packers to beat the Cowboys on Sunday.
Ooh, okay,
You know, I
okay,
like my hot takes. I
yeah.
mean, their injury hit, but the Packers seem to always play the Cowboys well. The Cowboys might be feeling themselves a little too much at 6-2. You know, this is if you've noticed some of my picks recently, taking like the Lions over the Packers, taking the Browns over the Bengals. Some of these picks taking they don't always hit. But what I notice and how I make these picks is, man, what happens leading up to the week doesn't matter at all. It's what happens on the field. And bro, this league is such a week to week league. You never know who's going to show up on a consistent basis, you know?
Yep, for sure.
I mean, like Joe Burrow throws for almost 500 yards one week, and then the next week he gets outdueled by Jacoby Brissett, you know?
It's weird.
So,
The
yeah,
NFL crazy game.
that's the NFL. It's so hard to predict, but that's kind of how I've been making my picks. So we'll see. Green Bay is a kind of a tough pick to make, but I think they could steal it. Um, Raiders at Jags on Sunday. The Raiders jump out to a 17-0 lead. Pretty much a must win for Vegas. A big opportunity to get, I believe on a winning streak. Go into Jacksonville and beat a bad Jags team. They get out to a 17-0 lead, but blow the lead and lose 27-20. A big win for Jacksonville. But Dustin, what is wrong with Vegas, man? They can't seem to do anything right, and they keep blowing leads.
Yeah, this team, man, I thought they were gonna be pretty good. And it's I don't know the answer, to be honest with you. It
Is
it, it looks just like a Josh McDaniels coach team.
I was just gonna say, should Josh McDaniels be on the hot seat already?
I mean, he should be, but I doubt it.
If you're the Raiders though, and you miss the playoffs with this roster, you're gonna be upset. And who knows? Maybe you can convince a guy like Sean Payton to come over.
Oh yeah, it is Vegas, but
Yeah.
he's got to be saved for somewhere else. So let's not try to encourage Sean Payton to go nowhere else.
um, I just think with given Josh McDaniels' history, I think there's a good chance he gets fired after year one. I really do.
Well, Raiders
He
fans,
wouldn't what?
Raiders fans probably already want him out. That fan base don't play no games.
And they saw it up close and personal in their division when Josh McDaniels got his first opportunity with Denver, and how big of a train wreck that was. You remember?
Yep, I do.
So, he's got to be on the hot seat, and 2-6 is flat out unacceptable. And then they go and cut Jonathan Abram, their starting safety. I don't understand that move either. So I don't really know what's going on in Vegas. But big win for Jacksonville. They get to 3-6. Good game for Trevor Lawrence. Big game from Travis Etienne, who's having a big year. You're seeing what a healthy Travis Etienne looks like this year, and he's pretty damn good, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he's very good, which is why I think that Jacksonville team is in good hands. They're going to continue to get better and better and better.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, continue to build around Trevor Lawrence and what fits his skill set. You bring in his college teammate Travis Etienne in the draft. You bring in Christian Kirk and these weapons. Continue to build around them. I think the Jags are in good hands. They get to 3-6, but a tough game coming up at the Chiefs. Likely a Chiefs win here on Sunday.
Yeah, I got to go Kansas City.
For the Raiders, the 3-5-1 Colts at the 2-6 Vegas Raiders. Jeff Saturday's coaching debut as interim coach, and it looks like the Colts are going to be offensive play caller for that game is going to be a 30-year-old assistant quarterbacks coach, Parks Frazier. How about that? How confident are you feeling going into Vegas with a 30-year-old who's never called plays before?
I like it because his name's not Frank Reich.
Man, I think even Frank Reich's gonna be better than this.
Oh, I don't know about that one.
I mean, our biggest criticism of Frank Reich was like going for it and being too aggressive. What's this Parks Frazier gonna do? We have no idea.
I
What
don't
if he,
know, but
what do you
you know,
think?
oh man,
You're willing to give him a shot at least?
yeah, oh yeah, for sure. And
So Colts at Raiders though, who wins?
Colts,
Give me Vegas.
oh, I think the Colts are just gonna have enough.
Well, and let's lead this into the Colts game on Sunday. Colts at Patriots in Foxborough, always tough to play against Bill Belichick, but you guys put up 3 points and get blown out 26-3. You've seen Sam Ellinger in person, and he looked terrible. Tell me you agree. He looked really bad in Foxborough, didn't he?
Yeah, he did for sure.
How did he look in person? I don't think Sam Ellinger's any good. Am I wrong?
I mean, against the Commanders, he played pretty well,
Yeah.
you know.
Um,
But I mean, Sam's not the guy. And actually, I was just reading that Ursay told Saturday that he's going to give him full reins and that the starting quarterback decision is on him.
so I mean, is Matt Ryan still hurt?
I don't think so.
So maybe Matt Ryan. What about Nick Foles?
Oh no, I don't want Nick Foles in there. That's a double downgrade.
Tony Dungy was advocating for Nick Foles. He said he's got to be better than Sam Ellinger.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to disagree with the legend.
He's like he's a former Super Bowl winner, Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah,
So
but I seen
I
him.
I would I would go Matt Ryan if he's available. I don't. Why not?
I mean, yeah, because you could still somewhat save the season.
You could, but I mean, at 3-5-1, sure, easily you could win on Sunday, get to 4-5-1, and get back in the hunt. Titans just lost; they're at 5-3. But do I see it happening? No, I don't. I don't think that this new play caller is gonna perform that well just because he's so young and he's never done it before. I think the rebuild is still on in Indy, and so I think this is already a. I agree with you what you said before. I think this is a lost season. And so that's why I think the Raiders, who are bad but still fighting, are gonna find a way to win compared to the Colts, who, that was what was so confusing is the Colts were 500, yet it seemed to be throwing up the towel, right?
Yeah, which was crazy to me. But for for the first time in a couple years, Alex, I'm not even gonna lie. After halftime, I turned the game off and I went and watched the rest of the Lions and Packers.
Yeah.
I
Well,
just
it was
watched.
clear. Yeah, I mean, it was clear that they weren't going to be competitive, and Bill Belichick's a hell of a coach. You're not going to bring Sam Ellinger and this team in there and do anything against Belichick. So,
It was a down.
um, but
I
my
mean,
question is this: if if you're gonna, let's say, so who did you believe was behind the Matt Ryan benching? You believed it was Frank Reich, or do you think Ursay had a say in it?
well, from what I'm hearing is that it was Frank Reich.
Yeah, but uh, how do you make that call if you're Ursay? At that moment when Frank Reich comes in, if it's me and Frank Reich comes in saying he wants to bench Matt Ryan, I bet I fire Frank Reich right then and there. You know what I
Look,
mean?
look. Here's here's the truth, and this is coming from a diehard Colts fan himself.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan being injured was the excuse to bring in Sam,
Uh huh.
and now, unfortunately, you know, they're trying to, like you said, make Matt Ryan the fall guy. They're like, oh, okay, he got hurt. Now, instead of us just regularly benching him, for quote unquote, like just straight up benching him. Now we have an excuse. I had to say, oh, he's out for 4 weeks because
Well, you had a built-in excuse. He was out for 2 to 4 weeks. That was an easy excuse. You didn't have to say anything about it. But Frank Reich went out of his way in that press conference to say, regardless of injury, this was going to be the move. And Sam Ellinger's a starter for the rest of the season. Remember that?
yeah, I don't I don't believe that that was the move. See, because I just don't think Ursay would be that crazy, bro. Because he went last year all season long with Carson Wentz, and Carson played worse.
Well, Ursay allowed it to be said. Frank Reich's the head coach of the team. He allowed him to call his shots for 2 weeks. I
Well,
mean,
maybe Ursay knew that he was gonna fire Frank anyway, and he just let
that's
Frank do
why.
whatever he wanted to do.
But that's in my opinion, that's malpractice. Because if I'm the owner of a team and I'm sitting there at 500 with the playoffs still very well in reach, I don't allow my head coach to sabotage the team for two extra losses that doesn't need to happen. You know, I fire Frank right then and there, and we try to play Matt Ryan. If Matt Ryan can't go, honestly, I'd rather put in Nick Foles than Sam Ellinger.
Yeah, a guy with experience, but I seen
Yeah,
play in the preseason. He was awful.
I believe me, Nick Foles was awful in Chicago, but he's got experience over Sam Ellinger. So to me, Ursay can say whatever he wants. He signed off by allowing it to happen. He signed off on what Frank Reich was doing those last couple of games. So the reason the Colts are 2 games under 500 now is because Ursay allowed Frank Reich to do what he wanted, right?
Yeah, I agree to that, and maybe Reich went in there and was very, very convincing to him. Like I guarantee you, at least Ursay probably said no at first, and then Frank's like, "Look, I have a bad O line, and we need somebody who's mobile," and
Like
that right there made Ursay be like, "Oh, okay, you know what? You're right."
look, I'll at least go 1-1. We'll still be 500, and we'll see. We'll reevaluate then, right, or something like that.
Yeah,
But loses a close game. You know, you could argue they should have beat the Commanders or easily could have beat the Commanders. But then when you get blown out against the Patriots and it's not even competitive, I think it made the move easy for Ursay. My only question is why not do it sooner? Why not do it 2 weeks ago? Shit, why not do it last off season? You know?
yeah, I would have done it after the Commanders game because you go in the fourth quarter with 8 minutes to go, up 16-7, and you lose.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
on you as a head coach.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of things to unpack in Indy. We don't really know what all is going on. It's a lot of craziness, but what do you think of the Jeff Saturday hire? I mean, that was definitely outside the box, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was definitely weird to me, because I was expecting the move I would have made is I would have put Gus Bradley,
Yeah.
the defensive coordinator, as the interim head coach. But
Do you think this move means? I mean, do you really bring in Jeff Saturday just for the rest of the season, or do you think this is a move to give Jeff Saturday, probably a long-term deal as head coach?
uh I do not believe that this is a long term deal for Jeff Saturday.
Well, it's
Um
just weird that you would make a guy who's not even on the staff the interim. It's so much easier to make Gus Bradley, right?
yeah, like where did this come from though?
That's why I think it's a long-term move. I think that he likes Jeff Saturday. He wants Jeff Saturday to be the coach, and I think he's going to have him sign a long-term deal after the season.
Well, from what I've been hearing is just in these last couple of days, Alex, he's been bringing energy. He's been flying around and getting these guys hyped and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean that's the number one thing you can do is try to change the attitude, try to change the energy, the culture, but get them thinking optimistically even though they're 3-5-1, be like, "Look, we win on Sunday, we're right back, in contention for, to try and make a playoff run." So, it's going to be interesting. Um but it's weird what's happening in Indy. Outside the box moves, mid-season firing. A lot of people, including myself, didn't think that Ursay would fire Frank Reich mid-season. That he'd wait until the off season.
Yeah, I did too, but it was time for him to go.
Yep. Um, Sam Ellinger in the game throws pick six to Patriots corner Jonathan Jones, his first career pick six. How about the Patriots? They get to 5-4 and going into the bye. So I looked back, and the Patriots were 1-3 to start the season, and then Mac Jones got hurt. Imagine if I told you back then in week 4, Dustin, that the Patriots are 1-3. Mac Jones just got hurt. In week 10, they're going to be 5-4 going into their bye week.
Yeah, I wouldn't believe you.
Yeah, so that's a pretty impressive turnaround. Just goes to show you can never really count out a Bill Belichick coach team, huh?
Yeah, absolutely not, man. The guy is the goat for a reason.
And bro, I know it's a very competitive division. I still think the Patriots find a way into the playoff.
That's hard for me to determine right now.
I think they finish above Miami. I'll go that far.
Oh, I don't know. I disagree.
I know you don't like that one. Well, how about your team though? Your boys, the Buffalo Bills. 6-1. What you were talking like 14 wins, right?
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was your prediction. 14-3. You know, just three losses. That's a lot. To go 14-3. They start 6-1. They're on the road against the Jets. Big game. But they get out to a 14-3 lead. but the Jets rally to stun the Bills 20-17 in MetLife Stadium. Josh Allen struggles, throws two bad interceptions, very uncharacteristic, and leaves the game with an elbow injury. Doesn't leave early, but ends up with an elbow injury. What do you think of the outcome? The Jets stunning the Bills.
Yeah. Um, you know, the Jets seem to have done that this season so far.
What's that?
Play up to their competition,
Yeah,
and because there are some losses where they should probably have beat the team that they lost to.
yeah.
But I understand now why the Bills lost after hearing about Josh Allen's elbow injury.
I mean, I wouldn't put it all on that. Those two interceptions he threw were just flat out bad reads. I can understand if he's got elbow, issues, but that's a bad loss. But it also happens, and that's why I couldn't go 14-3. I go something like 12-5 because you know the Jets might not be the best team in football, but on the road in New York, a divisional game, you never know, right? You know how same thing in college. These divisions, these conferences eat their own.
Yep, for sure.
So big win for the Jets, impressive. I mean, how about the Jets going into their bye week at 6-3? I know they lost Brees Hall for the season. That's a tough loss, but they replace him with James Robinson. They've still got Michael Carter, who has a good game on Sunday, and they're 6-3 going to their bye. I mean, that's a hell of a spot for the Jets to be in. I never would have thought they would have this good of a record in the preseason. Did you?
Yeah, I thought that they would be better because remember I mentioned how good they hit the draft.
Yeah,
You know,
but 6-3. I mean, I don't know.
yeah, I just think that that's Robert Saleh proving that he's a legit good head coach.
He's got that defense balling. So credit to Robert Saleh, absolutely. And credit to the Jets because losing Brees Hall, you could easily be like, man, down goes our number one running back, our future star. It's easy to kind of like take your foot off the gas, right? But they lose Brees Hall and still get a win over the Bills, get the 6-3. They don't seem to be looking for excuses or backing down or saying, "Woe is me." The Jets are trying to make a playoff run.
Yeah.
So very impressive. How concerned are you about Josh Allen's elbow injury? He might not be able to play against the Vikings in Week 10.
Um, I didn't hear much about it. Like, is it a torn ligament?
It's not a torn, I believe it's a sprain. And so he missed, I believe, not much time before with a tear. So it's a sprain. He might miss Sunday, but I think he plays on Sunday, plays through the injury. It's an important game, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I mean, but it's not a divisional game. It's against the opposing conference. So if you're gonna lose a game, I guess that's a game to lose, but you don't want to fall to 6-3 and be on a 2-game losing streak.
Yep.
What do you think happened?
Oh, um, I think that they have too much talent.
Does
And
Josh Allen play?
ooh,
Because
Allen
if
is
not,
the,
huh?
who's the backup right now?
Case Keenum.
Oh, that's not bad. You know what? But I do think that Allen's gonna uh tough it out.
Okay. And then you got the Bills winning?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't if I was the head coach. I'd make the decision to have him sit just
Yeah.
because I would want to save him and not get him hurt anymore.
Yeah, exactly. You want him healthy for the playoff run.
But knowing Josh Allen, he's a very competitive guy.
Yeah. We'll see. It'll be interesting. I think if Josh Allen plays, the Bills find a way to win at home. And if he doesn't, give me the Vikings. It's a beat Case Keenum, who is a former Viking and won that big playoff game over the Saints. Remember?
Yep, for sure.
Speaking of the Vikings, they played at the Washington Commanders on Sunday. Commanders got out to a 17-7 lead in the fourth quarter, but the Vikings rallied to win 20-17 for their sixth straight win. Huge road comeback win for the Vikings, down two scores in the fourth, and they still get it done. The Vikings have always been in recent years a team that loses games that they should win. But this is one of those games where you would expect them to lose and they find a way to win. Impressive win, huh, for the Vikings.
Yeah, this Minnesota Vikings team is pretty good.
And six straight wins and playing very well. And how about the addition of TJ Hawkinson in at the trade deadline?
Yeah, that was huge. And that kind of surprised me about Detroit doing that because he was a pretty good weapon for them.
Yeah. So, and that's obvious for the Lions that the rebuild is still ongoing. But yeah, it is surprising. I would have thought TJ Hawkinson was one of their foundational pieces on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
Um, Daniil Hunter records two sacks. Harrison Smith, Viking safety, with a fourth quarter interception that really swings momentum in Vikings' favor. I've been over here praising Tyler Henneke after that game winning drive and win over the Colts. I got to give him some criticism here. That bad interception overthrow to Harrison Smith really opened the door to swing momentum back in Minnesota's favor and allowed the Vikings to come back and win the game. Heineke really kind of struggled down the stretch of this game.
Yep, for sure.
So we'll see if he can bounce back at the 8-0 Eagles. I don't think he does. So Commanders could be 4-6, and the Eagles could be 9-0. But if he can find a way to go into Philly, get a big win, then that could change that narrative real quick.
Yep. I think that they do.
You think what? You think Tyler Henneke goes into Philly and gets a win?
I like Taylor Henneke, man. I really do.
Yeah, well, I like chocolate cake, but it's not gonna go into Philly and get a win in November. Give me the Eagles.
Oh my goodness, that was funny.
Seahawks at Cardinals. So the Cardinals already lost once to the Seahawks this year. So they can't lose at home. They can't get swept, and they can't afford to fall to 3-6. This team was the hottest team in football last year. This year's Eagles were last year's Cardinals. Remember, going undefeated as long as they did,
Yep.
and so an opportunity to save the season, turn the season around, split with Seattle, get a big win at home. You got DeAndre Hopkins back. You got Robbie Anderson. You got the weapons. It's time to get it done on the field. But instead, the Seahawks go into Arizona and complete the sweep, winning 31-21. Not that close, winning by double digits. And the Seahawks now have a 3-game lead, plus the head-to-head over the Cardinals. I mean, terrible hole to be in right now if you're Arizona. And what do you think, Dustin, for how much talent is on this Cardinals team? D Hop, Zach Ertz, Kyler Murray. What's wrong with this team? Why are they 3-6? That's bad.
I couldn't tell you, Alex, but at the end of the day, having all that type of talent and you're still losing, well, you know what that comes down to, right?
Coaching.
And look, if you see on the sideline, they're not disciplined, man. They're getting into it with each other. And, you know,
Yeah.
Kyler's always yelling at Cliff Kingsbury, and them two are
And
always butting heads.
Kyler was yelling at DeAndre Hopkins on Sunday too, yelling at some teammates. Here's my take real quick. I've been hammering home. I've been, saying fire Cliff Kingsbury for a couple years now, and rightfully so. I think he's a college coach and he should go back to coaching college where he's at his best. But Kyler Murray has to wear some of this blame. And I've seen Kyler Murray, he had a bad fumble in this game. He picked up what would have been a big fourth down conversion, but he fumbles the ball. Um, Sometimes he takes bad sacks. Sometimes, he's had intentional grounding. Um, I Kyler Murray has to wear some of this blame as well, and I think it's a double-headed sword. It's a two-man problem in Arizona, and I want to see Kyler with a real head coach. Sean Payton, someone like that. But those coaches don't grow on trees, and who are you necessarily going to get as your next coach that's going to get this team better? I mean, it's not a good spot to be in right now if you're Arizona. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I agree. And I haven't been wanting, like, I've been wanting to say that Kyler's good, but honestly, I think he's a top 20 quarterback at best.
Well, and there's a difference between being good, being talented, and performing well every Sunday. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
We
for sure. Yep.
all look at Kyler Murray and see his athletic ability, his quickness, his arm strength, the ability to make every throw, and say, this guy's got the potential to be a absolute superstar, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he needs to get it done. He needs to show that consistently. He needs to take care of the ball and make smart decisions. And most importantly, and doesn't this kind of go back to the offseason, he needs to be more prepared and more studied about his opponent and recognize the defenses that they're showing him. And maybe there's something to that study clause that was in his contract, don't you think?
Yes, absolutely. And bro, what I want to say is this is a bold take. It's time for Kyler to get out of Arizona.
Well, but who's going to go first, the head coach or the franchise quarterback?
Oh, the head coach for sure.
And I think Arizona's going to go down the road with Kyler Murray. I don't think they're ready to move on from Kyler. I think they'll fire the head coach, make Cliff the scapegoat after the season when they miss the playoffs, and then go get a quarterback, a real head coach, and we'll see who they hire. That's going to be the ultimate test, is to see who they hire to get more out of Kyler Murray and get Kyler to grow up or be more of a leader, more of a professional, put the work in and show it on the field.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, DeAndre Hopkins, Zach Ertz, he's got the talents around him. There's no excuses. Even James Conner and those running backs.
Yep,
Uh,
absolutely.
so remember when the Cardinals traded for Robbie Anderson from the Panthers?
Yep.
How many catches do you think Robbie Anderson has through 3 games as a Cardinal?
Oh, five?
Less,
Wow. Three.
less.
Zero.
1 catch for -4 yards.
Wow.
So I mean, you go and you add a guy like Robbie Anderson. Clearly, it's not working so far, right?
Yeah, you can't have him with only one catch.
No. And I know you're feeding the hell out of DeAndre Hopkins, but it'll help open DeAndre Hopkins up if you can go to guys like Robbie Anderson and whoever the hell else they have at that on that receiving core.
Yep.
Rondale Moore, guys like that. I mean, man, they're loaded. Rondale Moore is a hell of a talent.
Yeah, he is. And he was like that at Purdue.
Yeah. So I don't know what the excuse is in Arizona. Big win for the Seahawks. They get to 6-3, bro. Who would have thought the Geno Smith led Seahawks 6-3, leading the NFC West?
Yeah, nobody would have.
And credit to Geno Smith. Credit to Pete Carroll. He's absolutely balling, doing an excellent job. And credit to Kenneth Walker, who's carrying the rock. All right, so then Rams at Bucks, the 3-4 Rams at the 3-5 Bucks. Huge game on Sunday. What were your thoughts going into this game? I mean, big game for both teams. Neither team should be below 500, right?
No, absolutely not. And the Rams being the defending champions, that is crazy to me. But And the Bucks, man, they have too much talent to be where they're at. But I think this game really is going to be a turnaround.
Yeah, and the Rams lead 13-6 to start the fourth. I mean, like we've seen all season, the Bucks struggling on offense, and whether it be offensive line play or no Gronk, so a lack of tight end play, all those things working together to make life difficult in Tampa. We've seen a pissed off Tom Brady, throwing iPads and stuff. But as Tom Brady throws for, he eclipses 100,000 yards passing in his career, only player in NFL history. How about that accomplishment by Brady?
Wow. I
I
mean,
never I never would have thought we'd see that, huh?
yeah, that's all you can say is wow. I mean, I'm 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 not surprised he's been there long enough to do it.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's not just being there that long, it's being there that long and playing at an elite level for that long.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
incredible. So in the same game he, breaks that record. He also comes through in the clutch with a game-winning touchdown pass with just 9 seconds left. Vintage Tom Brady, bro. I mean, he's the GOAT. He always seems to come through in the clutch, huh?
Yeah. Great drive. And you know, I had to I had to get up closer to the TV just because I had a feeling. I'm like, oh, this kind of reminds me of obviously the Rams won last year, but they ended up giving Brady that drive to bring him back into the game.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, but anytime there's a minute left and Tom has the ball, anybody's gonna want to watch because it's must see football.
Yeah, and just like on Sunday, he seems to always get it done. Um,
I don't
this
know how, man. I don't know how, but he does.
well, he's got that refuse to lose mindset. It doesn't matter how bad of a game he's had up until that point. With the final seconds on the clock, Brady's just gonna find a way to get it done. And he does once again. He throws the game-winning touchdown. I think the Rams made a mistake. Head coach Sean McVay decides to run the ball on 3rd and 5 with just a minute 30 left. Um, in those situations, especially with the GOAT on the other side, you don't want to give Brady the ball if you can help it. And so this was an argument of should you run the ball and give it back to Brady with 50 seconds on the clock, or should you try to throw for the first down? Because if you pick up that first down, the game's over. The Bucks have no timeouts left.
Yeah.
And I've always been an advocate. So I'm the type, I'm always an anti analytics guy, always an anti go for it, always a run the ball and play it safe. But in that situation with Brady on the other side, I'm throwing it purposefully trying to pick up that first down because if I get it, I don't have to. Brady's not touching the ball. You know what I mean? And so you give Brady an opportunity, even though he's had a bad game all throughout. You give him the ball with 50 seconds left, and you see exactly what happens.
Yep. Absolutely.
Um, I mean, he's done it so many times throughout his career. He throws for 280 yards, a touchdown, no turnovers. Rookie tight end Cade Otton, 5 catches for 68 yards and the game winning touchdown. Fourth round rookie tight end out of Washington. You remember Cade Otton?
Yeah.
He seems to be stepping in. That's what the Bucks need is some better tight end play. He seems to be stepping up.
Yeah. They needed that, and I'm just surprised that Rudolph hasn't had the year.
Yeah, and maybe we'll see. Maybe see if Gronk returns at any point this season. Maybe in December or something like that. But if Cade Otton can step up, maybe Gronk won't have to. How about defensive tackle Vita Vea records 2 sacks in the game, career high 6.5 sacks on the season. You don't usually see those kind of sack numbers out of the defensive tackle position, but Vita Vea stepping up as a pass rusher for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive, because he plays defensive tackle slash nose guard spot.
Yeah,
And for a nose guard to have 6 sacks, I played that position in high school, and it was hard as hell trying to get a sack.
yep. Well, he's an athletic DT, and he's getting it done. It's nice to see. Stafford throws for less than 200 yards, one touchdown, no turnovers. Cooper Kupp, 8 catches for 127 yards and a touchdown. I think the biggest thing that you're seeing in LA is who's getting the job done, who's a reliable target outside of Cooper Kupp. I mean, I've seen Tyler Higbee with some big drops. I've seen Van Jefferson hasn't been healthy and hasn't been the guy. Allen Robinson hasn't been, a reliable target, nowhere near what he was in Chicago and Jacksonville. What do you think's going on in LA? And they can't seem to run the ball at all either.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I mean, it's a true Super Bowl hangover, I guess.
Yeah, and it seems to be some poor O line play. They can't protect for Stafford. They can't run block. Cam Akers keeps getting hit in the backfield. Um,
Well,
you know,
their leader of that offensive line retired, so
yeah, Whitworth.
yeah, I think he was the guy who kept them together. Being a leader and all that.
Yeah. And so I mean we'll see if the Rams can turn it around. They got an opportunity in week 10, the 3-6 Cardinals at the 3-5 Rams. This is an absolute must win for the Rams at home in SoFi. And against the Cardinals, I got the Rams winning this one. Do you agree?
Yeah. Actually, I'm just now reading Matthew Stafford is in concussion protocol.
Yep. That's something to keep an eye on as well. See if he'll be able to start that game or not. Is it John Wolford? Is he the backup still?
That's a good question.
Yeah. We'll
If
see how
he
that.
is, though, I kind of trust him. He's pretty good.
I think if Stafford doesn't play, I think the Cardinals will win, honestly. So they better hope Stafford can go. I mean, imagine if the Rams fall to 3-6, bro.
Yeah, that would be something. Wouldn't I mean, that would have to be one of the worst defending champion records, right? I mean, I
Yeah, and the
that'd
thing
be
is they're still talented. We've seen teams like, remember when the Denver Broncos lost John Elway, and so they were starting like Bubby Brister, and you can understand the certain teams like that, struggling the next year. Um, but the Rams have Stafford, they have Cooper Kupp, they have Sean McVay, Aaron Donald, and there's Jalen Ramsey, and they're still struggling.
yeah. I can't give you the answer because I don't know. I mean, they have it right there. They just haven't been getting it done.
Well, Stafford's turnovers have been an issue, but even when he doesn't turn the ball over, they're still losing. So we'll see. They got a prime opportunity against the Cardinals. We'll see if Stafford plays. That's a must win. Um, Go ahead.
Their defense has kind of taken a step back to me too.
Yeah. Yep. Sunday AM in Germany. The 6-3 Seahawks against the 4-5 Bucks. I've been all over the Seahawks. I've been loving them this year. This is where they lose and the Bucks get a massive win in Germany. Give me Tampa Bay to get back to 500 in Germany Sunday morning.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Tampa. But by the way, speaking of the Hawks, Fox just named Kenneth Walker the midseason rookie of the year.
Hell yeah. I mean, he's been balling like it. I mean, Brees Hall was too before the injury. And with that injury, that kind of opens the door for Kenneth Walker, don't you think?
Yep, for sure.
Let's go Sunday night. The 5-2 Titans at the 5-2 Chiefs. Ryan Tannehill out with an ankle injury. So rookie quarterback Malik Willis makes his second career start. 1-0 as a starter. I picked the Titans to win. Most of the time I'm gonna pick against Kansas City. But the Titans have kind of had their number, and the Chiefs hate trying to stop Derrick Henry. The Chiefs start out to a 9-0 lead, but 17 straight points had the Titans up 17-9. But the Chiefs rally. force overtime at 17 all and win 20-17 in overtime. The Titans actually unable to stop Patrick Mahomes' legs in the fourth quarter, converting a 3rd and 17, rushing for a touchdown, and even converting the 2-point conversion, all with his legs. That's something, man, you have to do a better job of it if you're the Titans defense. I can understand getting beat by Mahomes' arm because he can make all the throws and he's got weapons like Travis Kelce, McCole Hardman. But you cannot allow Patrick Mahomes to dice you up like that with his legs. I mean, that's a recipe to lose leads, huh?
Yeah, but I mean, Mahomes did what any great quarterback does, and that's step up when it mattered and put your team on your back to win the game.
He's underrated athletic. Like he can move.
And how about him like when he dove in the end zone, he straight run the dude over.
Yeah, that was nice
Like,
to see. He wasn't getting stopped. He was gonna finish that run.
yeah.
Um, I mean, Mahomes combines for 500 plus yards, a touchdown and a pick. Travis Kelce 10 catches for 106 yards. Something that Josh was remarking. How about 500 plus yards from Mahomes? Just one touchdown and just 20 points. Why are the Chiefs putting up so many yards but not really seeing it on the scoreboard?
Well, I think that they're struggling, yeah, to score points and stuff. Maybe it's lack of weapons, but that shouldn't be the case, right?
Yeah, I mean they're just I mean they're 6-2. So if you're picking on them, you're nitpicking. But they're not as explosive. So I think what they're doing more so nowadays is dinking and dunking down the field. And I think it would really help the Chiefs if they could figure out a run game. They keep trying to do it without a running attack and Mahomes leading the team in rushing. I would much rather see the Chiefs with a running back, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Where's Clyde Edwards at?
Yeah, where's he at? Where's don't they have a rookie Pacheco, right?
Yeah. He's not too bad though.
Yeah, Isaiah Pacheco. So Malik Willis, how do you think he did? He goes for 120 yards, no turnovers. He shows that he can beat you with his arm and his leg. Some nice throws from Malik Willis. The Titans are protecting him, not asking him to do a lot, but the little bit that we've seen, Malik Willis has looked pretty impressive, hasn't he?
Yeah. I like this pickup, and I think the Titans have their quarterback for post, Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, I love that combination of Malik Willis and Derrick Henry in the backfield. And so I'd love to see that more going forward. Derrick Henry goes for 115 yards and 2 touchdowns and passes Earl Campbell for Titans franchise leader in rushing touchdowns with 74. How about that from Derrick Henry?
Yeah, that's pretty big company to be joining right there.
Absolutely. So nice to see Henry still getting it done. Still, make a lot of people didn't think that game was going to be a good game, but Derrick Henry almost single-handedly kept that game close and had the Titans with a lead, going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, for sure.
Coming up week 10, the 3-5 Broncos at the 5-3 Titans. I don't know what to think about these Broncos. I think the Titans can get this win, don't you?
Yeah, I do, but I'm not gonna cheer for him.
Yeah, so you're gonna pick Denver?
Yep.
Denver to go into Tennessee, and Denver's capable of it too, and they need to. The Broncos don't want to be 3-6, so it's a big game for Denver in Tennessee. And then the 3-6 Jags at the 6-2 Chiefs. We all expect the Chiefs to take care of business there. Let's go to Monday Night Football. The 5-3 Ravens at the 3-5 Saints. Star linebacker Roquan Smith making his Ravens debut, and Baltimore takes care of business, winning 27-13. And the game was more, over, more of a blowout than the score indicates. I mean, it was 27-6 for most of the second half. What do you think watching this game? The Ravens look pretty damn good, huh?
The Ravens look good, and Andy Dalton's terrible.
Yeah, and Roquan Smith Don't you think he fits that Ravens defense well?
Absolutely.
How about having Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen in the same linebacking in the same defense?
I feel bad for the opposing team.
Yeah. So that gives them a lot of defensive versatility, a lot of playmaking out of that linebacking core. I mean, I see the Ravens becoming one of the more, fast, quick to the ball, and turnover, taking the ball away teams the second half of the season. I think Roquan's a game changer for that defense.
Absolutely. He's a game changer for any defense.
Absolutely. So how about the Bears just giving him away, huh? Pay that man. Roquan deserves top linebacker money.
Yeah, sometimes
Um,
I just don't understand what organizations are trying to do, man. It's sad.
yeah, I know. It's ridiculousness. Lamar Jackson combines for 200 yards and a touchdown. How about Kenyon Drake? Has been a real nice addition to the Ravens. 109 yards and two touchdowns in this game. He's been, J.K. Dobbins hasn't really been the guy, or Gus Edwards. Kenyon Drake's really stepped in and been a big workhorse for the Ravens.
Yeah, and I've always known that J.K. Dobbins is or I mean, sorry, excuse me. Kenyon Drake has always been a good player.
Absolutely, going back to his days at Bama.
Yeah, and
Um,
that's really all they need. If they can have a guy who can get 100 yards, a game with
yep,
Lamar throwing and him getting, 60, 70 yards rushing, you you can win a championship.
yeah, and so the Ravens, their number one goal is to finish the job, right? They were what 8-3 last year and missed the playoffs. So the goal needs to be finish the job, win that division, get a home playoff game, and then see what Lamar and Roquan and this team can do in the postseason, right?
Yes, sir.
How about this? A real good addition for the Ravens. Veteran linebacker Justin Houston, absolutely balling out. 2.5 sacks and an interception in this game. 8.5 sacks on the season, and his fifth career interception. Justin Houston continues to turn back the hands of time.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, man, is he's still out here doing his thing.
Yep, absolutely. I love to see it. He's been a baller for a long time, going back to Kansas City, even with your Colts, and now with the Ravens. So great to see. Andy Dalton throws for 200 plus yards, one touchdown, one pick. A guy who's been straight up unstoppable this season for the Saints, star running back Alvin Kamara, held to just 62 combined yards and no touchdowns. I'm going to go ahead and call that the Roquan Smith effect. Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, great job. You saw it on multiple plays. Roquan Smith stuffing the run on Alvin Kamara and then going out and defending him on the pass. Great job. I mean, that's what I'm talking about the defensive versatility. Having a middle linebacker like Roquan Smith gives you, you know?
Yeah, I mean, he's just an all around player, and he's the Ravens may have found that piece.
Absolutely. So, Ravens with the addition of Roquan are going to be one of my favorite teams to watch the second half of the season. So, big win for the Ravens. They get to 6-3 and go on their bye. For the Saints, they fall to 3-6 and go to Pittsburgh to take on the 2-6 Steelers. That's a game, who gives a shit? And we'll see if the Saints can get a win. But if they can't, you're talking about a 3-7 Saints team.
I'm sorry, that was funny. Why did you say it like that?
Well, and I say who gives a shit, but honestly, the Saints are what, one game back of the division lead?
Yeah, which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
But
So,
Alex Andy Dalton played terrible.
yeah, he's not that good, I mean, I've been saying it before. Anytime Andy Dalton is your starting quarterback, I'm picking against you. I don't care who you are. At this point in his career, if you give me prime Andy Dalton and AJ Green and Mohamed Sanu and Joe Mixon, okay, now we're talking. But if you're giving me Saints and Bears Andy Dalton and Cowboys Andy Dalton, no thank you.
Yep.
So
You know what? Uh, I just want to throw this out there. thinking about this, with Indy and their quarterback controversy, I would love
Mhm.
to have Cooper Rush come to Indy. I
Yeah.
think he could be the man.
Honestly, bro, I don't think the Aaron Rodgers thing is too far out there. Like, Aaron Rodgers is going to be mad. You think how mad Aaron Rodgers is going to be if the Packers miss the playoffs?
Oh yeah, because right now he's worried about his legacy. He wants
Yeah,
one more.
yes, exactly. And if he feels like the Packers aren't going to give him any help, and he can look over at that Colts team and see Jonathan Taylor, see Shaq Leonard, see Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce and these guys. And if they hire the right coach, maybe what if the Broncos fire Nathaniel Hackett? Well, Nathaniel Hackett's not exactly going to be a top name, but what if the Colts hire Nathaniel Hackett and that helps get Aaron Rodgers,
I mean,
or
it it would be awesome. And I know, they always bring up, well, the Colts have had this many quarterbacks over, the span since Andrew Luck's been gone. But the difference is, this isn't just any other quarterback.
yeah. But I mean, like anyone, you have to keep an eye on Aaron Rodgers with Father Time. And three interceptions, two of them in the red zone was not a good look on Sunday. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, to his credit, where else can he go with the ball?
Yeah, I know. It's a tough situation to be in, so it's hard to say. But I don't expect it to get any better. I mean, I'm picking the Packers to beat the Cowboys, but that's an upset. On paper, it's Cowboys by probably double digits, right?
Yep.
And so the Packers, I don't know if they have it in them. When you look at that roster right now, there's not a lot of talent. Your best two playmakers are probably Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon, or Aaron Jones and Robert Tonyan. Maybe Alan Lazard, but Alan Lazard, I mean, he's a solid wide receiver three, wide receiver four on any good receiving core.
Yep. And so what I was gonna ask you is, a couple Packer fans, how do they feel?
They're not happy. They're mad at management because it's like, man, go trade for a receiver. We all know Aaron Rodgers has the talent. Get him some weapons and let's see what we can do. But staying status quo, being one of the teams that needs help the most and doing nothing at the trade deadline just shows that you're not interested in winning this year. I mean, you're sitting at 3-5, 3-6, and you do nothing at the trade deadline with a Hall of Fame quarterback talent. What does that tell you? It tells you that you're not trying, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So, they're not happy. They don't like losing for no reason. And the big question is, why did we extend Aaron Rodgers? Why did we give him a new contract to not give him any weapons? What's the point? You know?
Yep. And a lot of people are actually blaming Rodgers because they said that if he would have made his decision sooner, then Devontae Adams might have wanted to have pushed to stay.
Look, I blame Aaron Rodgers in this regard. He should have made his decision sooner to leave. He should have never returned to Green Bay. They were never bringing Devontae Adams back, and Aaron Rodgers could be somewhere like San Francisco or Denver right now, competing for a championship. And instead, he's in Green Bay. I don't think he's going to be in Green Bay too much longer. Why would he want to stay if they're going to surround him with talent like this?
Yep, absolutely agree.
So, keep an eye on Indy. Keep an eye on, who knows? But Aaron Rodgers, I think, is going to be looking for a new home soon. We'll see. And Green Bay, I honestly tell me if you agree. I think the season's about shot for Green Bay. I don't. At this point, do you see the Packers making the playoffs, turning the season around?
I don't.
Me neither. They're
As
so injury hit. They don't have weapons. What are you gonna do?
as a matter of fact, Alex, this may seem crazy, but the Bears might finish above them.
They could. It would help if they win their next game, so they split against Green Bay. Right now, I would say the Bears are playing better football than the Packers, and that's not a glowing endorsement of Chicago.
Yep.
So, but well, good shit as always, man. Plenty to unpack, plenty to talk about, and I can't wait for week 10, and we'll be back at it again next week.
Yeah, for sure, man. Week 10. Jesus.
Starting to heat
Slow
up.
down.
We're getting my favorite time of the year is November, December football. That's when everything's most meaningful. And then you get into January, and that's when it's win or go home. My favorite, you know. So we're getting
Well,
into the heart of the season, best time of the year.
yeah. And how about college football, man? 3 games away from their season being over and then having to go to the bowl games already?
Yep, absolutely. And you see teams like Bama going down, Clemson, so it's a lot of fun to watch right now.
Yes, sir.
So, all right, good shit as always, Dustin. Appreciate the support, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let us know what you think, and have a great week. Peace out.